Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam, and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. And today I want to tell you about the new Netflix original movie, shockingly, extremely wicked, shockingly vile, shockingly evil, and vile. So yeah, it's a mouthful of a title, but this is the new Ted Bundy movie starring Zac Efron as Ted Bundy. And this review is going to contain mild spoilers. So before you click off, I'll just tell you, if you know things about the Ted Bundy case, like major things, like maybe if you watched the Netflix series, the Ted Bundy Tapes, I'm not going to ruin anything. I'm just going to give you an idea of what's included and what's not included in the movie. However, I will say, if you're not interested in the Ted Bundy case and you don't know much about it at all, if anything, this movie may bore you. It's kind of a slow movie, especially if you don't really know anything. It's a little more interesting if you actually know things about the case. That said, somewhat major spoiler, you're not going to see Ted Bundy kill anyone in this movie. Not really. This one's more about his relationships and the case. You do get to see all the proceedings of the multiple trials he went through, his multiple escapes, his troubled relationships. And that may sound boring, and I'll be honest, in the beginning, I was a little bit concerned that it was going to focus too much on the relationship and just be sort of this shit side story that I didn't want to see. And it's not. It actually does. It shows you a lot of what the public knew during all of this, and a lot of what his love interest, played by Lily Collins, what she knew and things that she didn't know. For instance, whether or not he really committed these crimes. And I ultimately really liked the way they told the story for a couple of reasons. One, it put you in that position. Now, yes, we know the outcome, but it's still sort of like played out in a way where you could see why maybe people close to him believed him, and why they struggled, and it was an interesting perspective for the story to take, and it covered some of the great stuff like the escapes that he had. I do believe a lot of this was fairly accurate. There were a couple of things that they fudged just to make him work for the movie. For instance, at one point, he escapes through a light fixture, which did happen. However, the real Ted Bundy lost a lot of weight. He stopped eating and got very thin and was able to fit through a fairly small light fixture. Zac Efron got like Schwarzenegger big for a couple of movies, and while he's not that big in this movie, he's still pretty freaking ripped. A lot of people have complained about the casting of Zac Efron. Honestly, I never had a problem with it. I think he is a good actor. I thought it was an interesting role for him at this point in his career. However, Zac Efron is super handsome, and there is this myth that Ted Bundy was a good-looking guy. Ted Bundy is an ugly dude. I'm sorry, and it's not just because he's a monster. Unibrow, flat face. He is not an attractive guy whatsoever. I don't know how that myth got started. I guess because there's never a shortage of dumb women that come forward that fall in love with serial killers. That always seems to happen. But that does not make him a good-looking guy. And there are multiple times in this movie where Zac Efron's just walking down the street and women are just like wrenching their heads to look at him, which probably does happen to Zac Efron. I doubt that ever happened to Ted Bundy before people knew that he was a murderer. It's just always bothered me. It has nothing to do with the movie. Ted Bundy's an ugly guy. I don't know why we like to pretend that he was a good looking. He wasn't. There is a lot of courtroom stuff, but this didn't really play out to me like a courtroom drama where you're seeing the full like cross-examinations and you're seeing all of that drama. However, as much as I like the Ted Bundy tapes, which I think these two go together really well, so it's great that they have a home on Netflix. I would maybe recommend watching the Ted Bundy tapes first. It's about 4 hours and it really covers everything. And then watching the movie, because a lot of it's very, very accurate. Like I said, they fudged a couple of things just to make it work within the confines of a less than 2-hour movie. And it's things that you can look past. But Zac Efron, I think he did a great job. There are a couple of moments that were really sort of demanding on him as an actor that I think worked really well. Lily Collins, She's on camera a lot. She's very good at being sad. I don't know that I've ever seen her be particularly entertaining in anything, though. It works here in this movie. Still not a really big fan of her. I thought it was fairly well directed. It is a made-for-TV movie. This sort of exists somewhere between like a Lifetime movie and something that could exist in theaters, meaning if this was like on Lifetime, it would be the godfather of Lifetime movies. It would be the best thing that Lifetime has ever produced. It would be amazing. But if it was in theaters, a lot of audience members would be disappointed. So it lives somewhere in the middle. And so that's why I said at the top of this review, I think it's really for people very interested in the Ted Bundy case. If you don't have a particular interest in it, this is not going to really do anything for you. I mean, he's not Hannibal Lecter in this movie. You do not see the crimes, which I'm okay with, because honestly, his crimes are so brutal and they really happen to real people. And to show that, to show him cut someone's head off with a hacksaw, a person that really existed, that would be, I mean, if you're a fan of this channel, you know I talk about dark movies a lot. That would be too much for me. And so I'm glad they stayed away from it. Ultimately, I like the movie. I think it's a good recommendation, again, if you're interested in the case. But I will keep making reviews like this as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking this one out, and you will see me on the next one. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so a number of ways. You can become a Patreon supporter like one of these fine people, or just like, comment, share, subscribe. That always helps a lot, but I really do appreciate it, especially if you're a new viewer, if you just found me here. I do Netflix recommendations all the time, usually in groups of 10, top 10 list. So if you subscribe and if you click that bell icon, you will never run out of good movies to watch.